Good evening, everyone. Is my voice audible to everyone? Yes, no? Just for a quick confirmation. Yes, no? All right. Yes. All right. So let's start this session right now. All right. Hello, Ashu. Hello, Mahi. Hello. All right. So have you completed? Have any one of you have completed the to-do app? Yes. How many of you have completed the to-do app? Yes, no? In the chat. Yes. Anyone? Any doubt, any queries in that particular section? So today what we'll be building is we'll be building this weather app. Okay. Today we'll be building the all right. So let's see what is. How many of you have completed? Just give me a quick information and we are ready to go. All right. So today what we'll be doing is we will be building the uh, weather app. Okay. So in this app, what we'll be doing is uh, yes, anyone? Yeah, I have completed to-do list. Very good. Okay, very good. Yes, others. I need the Git repository. Okay, those who need Git repository, I will be sharing itself right now. Just give me a moment. The Git repository. I'll be sharing the Git repository right now for the today's session. Okay, for the today's session, you need. I'll be sharing a Git repository which will be doing, and also the previous class. Two repositories I will be sharing. Let me share the to-do app. So for the to-do app, the Git repository link is this. I'm sharing in the chat. Okay. Yeah, the code, the JavaScript part is your assignment. First, you guys complete, and after a day or two, I'll be sharing everything in that repository. Okay. I have just shared that along in the chat. Just give me a moment. Let me share with you guys also. Okay, this is the link, and the same way. If you remember how to use the Git repository and do your code, so what I have done is yesterday I have shared you a document file. I guess all of you might have access. Again, I'm sharing that right now with you. The team will also share with you. I'm also sharing in the chat section. So this contains all the procedure of how to get started with the following code. Okay. So if you guys are enjoying the session, don't forget to hit the like. Okay. And all right. So I guess you have access to that particular file right now. GitHub, everyone, is it working? Yes, no? All right. For today, we have another starter code. I have shared the document file. The team will be sharing with you guys. And yes. All right. So yeah, so we are ready to go for the today's session. Let's get started. I hope everyone is there. All right. So what we are building today. So this is what we have completed yesterday. This is task one. Enter. It will add all the tasks right here. Once it is done, you can mark as complete. Task three. And what we have done is we have created a filter for it for filtering different kind of tasks. Okay, and if you want, you can mark it as check. If you want, you can delete it. With the animation, it will slide and move out. All right. So today, what we will be doing right now is today we'll be building this weather app. Okay. So for the weather app, what the starter code you have it? We have a starter code, and let me share the starter code with you guys. The image part, rest of the images I will be sharing with you. Let me share the starter code first. Okay, I'm sharing in the chat. The team will also share with you guys. Okay, this is a starter code. Okay, this is a new link right now. So here you can get access to this, and how to use it, you can take the reference from the previous document. Here you do not need to go to any separate branch. All the code are in the main branch. But if you go to the this previous repository to do app, this is there on the there is two branches are there in that particular repository. There you will be getting this. All right, so let's get started. So what exactly we are going to do today? So this is a weather app. So guys, let me do mention your cities from where you are. Let me give it a try if it is working. How, which cities are you from? Can you mention in the chat? Yes. Anyone? Where are you from? Just mention your city so that we can check the validity of it. Okay, Noida. So let's check if Noida is working. Noida. So this is the app. Okay, so this is what we'll be getting. Okay, so you enter your city and you'll get what kind of, like today it is cloudy. The temperature is this. This is the icon for the cloudy. This is the humidity level. What is the humidity level right now? This is the wind speed, along with the city. Isn't it interesting? Is it interesting? Okay, let's see one more city. Hardik has sent is Patna. Okay, very good. Let's see. All right, so this is also working. So HTML and CSS code is already available with you guys. Okay, so you can go to the repository and find everything right here. Here you, in this particular repository, you have the styles. In the HTML part, you have the HTML code right here. This is the starter code which you need to get started, and along with that you have all the css files. So because since this is our like javascript class, so basically we will focus mostly on the javascript part. So basic starter html code is already shared with you, but I will give a glance over like what is what and all stuff, so that you can have a clear view. Okay. So there we go. Here we have, this is the app. So how many of you are excited to get started? Okay, excited in the chat? Yes. Okay, someone is from Goa. Okay, very good. Chennai, Kurukshetra. Yes, all of the city will work. Yes. So before starting, can anyone tell me what is the API? Does anyone have any idea of APIs? Or anyone might have heard about API? Yes, let's see how many of you know about it. Guys, do mention in the chat like if you know what is a API. Yes, okay. Application program interface. Anything you find it easier, you can explain. There is no right and wrong. I do not want the definition, right? What I want is I want what is a API. All right. So basically, yes, most of you right. It stands for application program interface. So basically, it acts as an intermediary. Okay, it's act as a middleman or an intermediary between two software applications. Okay, and what this API does, it's create a communication between two stuff. Okay, this work of this API is to build a communication between the two softwares. Okay, clear. So this is the basically the work of a API. Okay, so in this particular case, let's take a real life example. Imagine there is a waiter in the restaurant. Okay, the waiter, what the waiter does, it takes your order, that is your request, and delivers it to the kitchen, that is the other application. Okay, it takes your order from you and delivers it to the kitchen, that is the other application. And when the kitchen prepares your food, it processes the request. When the kitchen prepares the food, that time the request processing is done. Okay, and it sends back to you the data along through the waiter. So here in this particular context, you can take the waiter as one of the example. Okay, so this all the API has a set of rules, so how to implement it and all the stuffs. Okay, for like for how a application should interact with each other. So it has a set of rule, and accordingly we need to use it. Okay, so let's start. Give me a moment. uh, all right, so right now let's get started with the initial code. So everyone has downloaded the basic code. Yes, everyone done. Okay, just give me a moment. Let me create a copy of one file. Just give me a moment. All right, so there are few images I'm trying to access. Okay, the images I will share it after the classes, or I will upload in that repository after the session. Okay, so let's get started with the code first. All right, for this particular project, we'll be using a API. Okay, and for the API I'm sharing the link. While I'm sharing, what I want is all of you to create an account there. Okay, so let me share. So this is the website in which we'll be using right now for building the application, right? So what I want is go to this particular website. I am sharing the link in the chat. Okay, and the team will also share with you. Okay, whether in the weather you are getting the to do's thing. No, the for the weather application, there is another GitHub. I have shared. Just give me a moment. Let me share it again. Okay, this website is for the weather app, which I have shared right now. Okay, the team will also share with you. Don't worry. So this is for the weather. Ash Gaming. You can check this GitHub link. Okay. All right. So just give me a moment. Already downloaded. Very good. All right. So what you need to do is go to this particular website. Click on sign in. Okay. Click on sign in and quickly create a quickly create your ID and with us. All right. Complete the procedure right now, and those who are done with this, just let me know. Okay, now we will proceed with, okay, sign in done, because for this we need a API key. Okay, for this particular, I will tell you how to build, where you can get access to all of this stuff. Okay, so I already have an account, so I'm just logging in directly. Those who do not have, just okay. So here we have this. Okay, so what you need to do is, once you have signed in, click on this API key and copy a key that you want to use. Okay, generate a API key and you copy a key, API key which you want to use in your project. Okay, create a copy of this and then go to this particular API here in the top header and search for city by city or something like this. API request by city name. Okay, go to this section, build API request by city name. Okay, and this part, this also API call you need to copy. Okay, copy these two things. Clear, everyone? Yes, no, in the chat. What two things you need to copy from this like website once it is done? Yes, no, guys, I want you also active in the chat too. All right, these are the two things you need to copy. Once this is done, now we will switch to the VS Code directly. Okay, let's get started with the code. All right, so here, let me share the VS Code screen. Just give me a moment. Okay, before sharing the VS Code screen, again, I'm sharing the app, weather app screen. Okay, it is shared with you. Just, okay, the screen is shared. So why I have the screen? Okay, the main reason of this is take a screenshot of this so that you can make analysis of how it is working. Okay, so just give me a moment. The screen will be shared. Yeah, take a screenshot of it, everyone, so that you can keep it as a reference. Okay, once done, okay, or you can go back. Okay, I'm changing the screen right now. I'm moving to the VS Code. Okay, we are there in the VS Code right here. So here I will create one more file, that is app.js. Sorry. And here will be so the two things you have copied right here now, this API key, two things you need to paste it right here. The API key, create a constant variable whether API URL along with the API key. Okay, these two things you need to copy right here. So if you have any doubt in this particular part, just let me know. Any doubt, any questions? All right, let me explain what exactly is it. So basically, this line declares the constant variable, okay, and it is assigned to a string representing a base URL for this. So this is called as a like you can say API endpoint, which provides this API endpoints provide us the real-time weather data. Okay, and then similarly we have again created another constant API key, and this holds the value right here of the key which we have obtained from the free account. Okay, so this URL is used as the base URL and the city name. Just what you can do is you just copy this URL and paste it in your browser, and you will see all this information right here in the screen. And from that, we'll be fetching the data which we need for this particular projects. Okay. So basically, the API key is for setting the authorization. Okay, like this is a key to access that particular information. Just for the authorization, we are using the API key. All right. So let's move to the next part of the code. Okay. So in the next part, what we need to do is we need to pick all the element from the HTML, right? We need to pick all the element from the HTML. What we have right here on, okay, how to get this API URL and API key. I have already explained. You can get this from the URL that is I have shared. The team has shared a URL. Okay, I have already explained. Just go to that URL, that is openwithamap.org. Create an account there. Go to the API key tab. From that, you will get the API key tab and go to API URL, API in the header menu. From there, you will get the link like search by city, build by city name. From there, you will get that particular URL also. All right, clear? All right, so what we need to do next is the next task is very important for us. So let's get started. So next part is very easy. As you all know, we need to fetch all these element. Okay, we need to fetch the this current form. From this form, we need to like fetch the search input, which is an input field for the for entering the city name. Okay, so here what I'll do is I'll just write 1 2, and I'll just, for the quick information, I'll just copy it. I'll just write city form. Okay, so this you all know. If you have any doubt, we have already covered in the previous sessions. So if you have any doubt, you can just let me. Query selector, and previously we have used class, so we are using dot, but here we are fetching the ID search input. Okay, or you can say city form. These are all ID. So for ID, you need hash. Then to avoid any kind of mistake, what you can do is you can just copy this and paste it right here. Okay, and don't forget to use the hash. All right, so here we have one error. Okay, because of the quotes. Okay, similarly, you need to write all for the rest of the thing. What I'm doing right now, I'm just copying it right here, so that these are the simple things which you guys already have covered. So we will not waste much of our time. We'll complete the important stuff. Okay, so here document, we have imported the search input. Okay, this search input. Okay, query selector, loading, error, everything we have got access to. We have created a reference to every element in the HTML document. I hope no one has doubt right here in this particular class. Okay, Utpal has one question. Okay. All right. This is a very good question. So what is document.query selector only and document.query selector all? So yes. So let me answer your question first. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So basically, in this is for the DOM manipulation. As you know, the document.query selector, the main purpose is to select the first element that matches the CSS selector. Document.query selector, the main purpose of using is to like select the first element. Okay, select the first element that matches the given class selector or the ID selector, anything, the class selector basically. Basically that is for that purpose, and it returns the single DOM object if the match is found. But in the other case, and when to use it, when you know there is only one element you want to target, in that particular cases we basically use document.querySelector. When there is, we know is only one element need to be targeted. In this particular case, what element we are targeting is we are targeting only the form. Okay, what we are targeting, we are only targeting the form element. Okay, and so in that particular case, we use query selector. But there may be chance you want to target multiple elements. Okay, if you want to select all elements that matches to a given css selector, in that particular case, dot query selector all is used. Okay, when you need to work with multiple elements matching a particular selector, in that particular case we can use selector all right. So this is the difference between these two simple differences. All right, is it clear right now? All right, so let's move. I hope there is no question right here in this particular block of code. If you have, you can just let me know, like if you have any doubt or any kind of questions right here in this particular block of code. All right. Yes, I guess you have answered. Communication between two software using responses and requests. Okay. All right, we'll work on this particular part. Let's move directly to this event listener part. Okay, for the city form. Then we'll move to the rest of the question. Okay, so let's quickly jump to the code. City form. Okay, we are adding a event listener, add event listener. Okay, and which event? The submit. Then here we are adding a new thing, that is async. Okay, E stands for event. We are using a arrow function right here. E dot prevent, you guys know, prevent default to default, like stop the default action of the form submission. Then const city search input dot value. From the search input value, okay, the search input box what you have created, that value will be passed to the city. Okay, so if, then we will do the calculation. Okay, so if not equal to city, while I'm writing, I want any one of you to explain me this line. Let's see, equals to 0, then return const. Let's work on the URL part. Get request URL. From this we'll be passing the city. Don't worry, I'll be explaining this in details. So here initialize state. Okay, and then const weather data, okay, is equal to await. So here we'll be learning a new concept. Okay, that is async await. Weather data process I hope you might be facing difficulty in this part. No need to worry about it. I'll be explaining. All right, this might be heavy for some of you guys, but no need to worry. So let's move to this part. How many of you are able to understand some part of this code? This line 20, 16 to 27. Some part, if you want to, if you understand some part, you can write some in the chat. And if you want to explain me any specific part, any line number, you can just let me know. There is one new concept here. So here we have a event listener, okay, like the city form dot add event listener. All right, here we have, yeah, we can, you can. All right, so here we have the line attaches a event listener to the city form element. So basically here the first line attaches the event listener to the city form, okay, elements in your. So here the event listener listens for the submit event, okay. Here the event listener is listening to the submit event. So when someone fires the form submit button by clicking on the submit button, that triggers. So this event listener is a asynchronous function, okay, initiated. So you can see async. So this function what you are seeing right here, that is a asynchronous function, okay, which allow us to use await, okay. It allows us to use await, which you can see at the bottom in here, which allows us to use await right here. Just give me a minute, it is small, okay, which allows to use await right here. So async await for a asynchronous operation, okay, which is happening right here. And the e parameter holds the information about the event which we are using, okay. So I will tell you about the asynchronous function, okay. So here, so understand the rest of the part. I am coming to the asynchronous here. E dot prevent, you know, okay. So normally when you submit form, it reloads the page, and we don't want to do that here. So to prevent all those default action on after clicking on submit, we are not doing that. And in the search input dot value, it is fetching the value from the input box. So in the checking part, input validation, that is this if statement, what exactly we are doing right here, okay. I'm explaining this part, then I will coming to the async await. So this is an optional validation check to ensure that the user has entered a city name. So here we are checking exactly the if the user has entered a city name or not. So it the condition check if the city is either null or has the length 0, that is the empty string. If either of this particular, if the string is 0, like if this it check if the city has a null value or its length is 0. If that condition is true, the function will immediately return returns using the return. So effectively you can see nothing happens. So basically what will happen is it returns nothing. And basically what happens is it the measure the purpose of using that is unnecessarily without inputting some might press search button. So every time unnecessary, if you click on search button, it will do unnecessary API calls multiple times. So to prevent this particular thing, if you haven't entered any city, it will not do any kind of API calls. If you write the city name, it will do the API call for you. For that validation purpose, we are using that particular line of code, okay. Then the next part we are coming to is constructing the API request URL. So in the const URL get request URL city, so there is a function named get request URL city, which is defined at the very latter. We'll go to after that I will write the code for that get request URL city. So basically the function takes the city name as input and do the API request to the URL that we have written. And from that, so it takes the city name as input, this particularly get request URL. It takes the city name as input. Then from that function, it does the API call from the URL that you have written at the above and gets all the information possibly you need. Okay. Then we have one more thing, that is this initialize state. Okay, so here this initialize state, this line suggests that you might have a function. So here we are writing a function that is initialize state to set the initial value of the UI elements. Okay, the initial value of the UI elements that is related to weather data. Okay, so UI element, we are making a request. I will come to that particular code before making any kind of API calls. So this involves resetting the page, like like compressing if there is no search is done, and expanding when a lot of stuffs are there. We'll be coming to that part. Okay. Then we have const whether, which part you are unable to understand after explanation, guys. Do mention in the chat the line number. I will help you guys, because unless and until you will not say, uh, sorry if I yes, exactly, I couldn't understand from line 16. Yes, that is what I am explaining. Exactly which parts I you are unable to understand, just let me know. Yes, you can try with Valencia, you can try with inner HTML, inner text, all stuff. You can play around with the code. Okay, this is what I'm saying, guys. Is this is not a only single way in which you can do this particular things. Try out all the stuffs that we have read in the class, and there are multiple ways. So we will be defining the functions. Okay, we'll be defining this function right here. The initialize state part, the get weather data part, get request URL, we'll be defining right here. I haven't defined. Yes, exactly. Okay. What does async do? Okay. All right. So how many of you have doubt with async? Any doubt? Async await part. How many of you have doubt? Any queries in that particular section of the code? Yes. How many of you do not know that async await part? Yes. All right, so let me explain that part, because this is also a crucial part. You need to understand async await. So imagine, okay. All right, so let me take a real life example so that it will be clear, okay, for you guys. Async await, guys. I want you to like, okay, be active. If you do not know, just let me know. All right. So imagine you are there present in a busy restaurant right here. Think of a restaurant where you can order food, and where you can order food. So ordering food, so just make a note of it, what I am relating to what. Okay, which point I'm relating to what. Okay, imagine you are there in a busy restaurant. Okay, so where you are ordering food, make ordering food is some similar to you are making an API request. Okay, ordering food you can compare to as API request. Okay, so there are two things. You can wait, either wait for the food to be cooked. Okay, at that time what happens, the whole process is blocks while the food preparation is done, or do other things is like, either you have to wait for the food to be cooked or do the other things while it is being prepared. Okay, so either two things you can do. While the food is prepared, you need to stop, you cannot do anything. That is one thing. Or when the food is prepared, till the time the food is being prepared, you get engaged in different activities, like calling to home, or writing something while the food is being arrived to to you at your table. So there are two things. In one way you are getting blocked, while the food is prepared. In the other part, you are not getting blocked, and you are engaged in different application task. Is it clear till this part? Yes. Till this part, if it is clear, yes, no in the chat, everyone. So here, what happens is synchronous waiter comes to you. Okay, in a traditional approach, like what you can say is synchronous approach, you have to wait for the food before doing anything else, like reading newspaper or any activities you need to do. In a traditional approach, you have to wait for the food without doing anything else, and this can be inefficient. So this task is inefficient because the food takes long time, and till the food is prepared, you get stock with no other task to be completed. Okay, but what happens if a asynchronous waiter comes in? Okay, so with the async and await, async and await, that is the keyword what we are using. So you tell the waiter, that is in this particular case is the JavaScript engine. In this particular case, the waiter is the JavaScript engine. So by using async and await, what you're doing is you are telling the JavaScript engine to handle your order. Okay, you are telling the JavaScript engine to handle your order and let you know when the order is ready. Okay, this is an asynchronous approach what you are doing. With the async and await, you are saying the JavaScript engine to handle your order, that is the API request. While you are doing the API request, you continue you are telling him, let me know once your work is done. So while the food is being prepared, so like that is, at that particular time you can read the newspaper, perform another task without getting blocked. So when a API request is made, you don't have to wait for the other things to continue. You can continue the rest of the thing along with it asynchronously without waiting for it for the response. Okay, only for waiting for it without getting blocked for its response. So once the food arrives, the waiter, that is the JavaScript engine, alerts you. Okay, once the food is prepared, the waiter is the JavaScript engine, alerts you. How it alerts? It alerts using the await. Okay, it alerts using the await right here. Once the food is done, it alerts us with the await right here, telling that you can enjoy your food. Like now you can process your data. Okay, is it clear right now with this example? Yes. Are you able to understand async await, the concept behind how the things, all the things goes on? Okay, so this breakdown. So the async function declares the asynchronous function. Here, this asynchronous function is like we are doing a API request, indicating it will take some time to due to the external event, that is the request is sent, and the await keyword pauses the execution of the function at that particular point until the returned by a preceding expression, or you can say until we have faced any information that we have requested. So it, and during that particular time, it allows us to do the rest of the task. Okay, so here, and then we have a response. Okay, that ensures that the API was successful, the response from the API was successful. Okay, we get the response in JSON format. Okay, so basic and the benefit of, you can mention it, like you can take a more so these are all the benefits, all this about the asynchronous. All right, so let's move to the next part of the code. So I hope this part is clear. If you have doubt, just let me know, I will let so now we will work on the function, that is get request URL. Okay, in which we'll put the location which you want to search. Okay, so const API URL equals to new RL, and here this will be the weather API URL. I'm writing the code. Just make a note of it, and which part you are unable to understand, just let me know the line number. Dot append. Here we have the API key, and this is the API key. API URL dot search params dot append. Okay, here we need also the location. Sorry, location. Okay, we get access to the location right here, and return API URL dot href, and we are done with this block of code. Okay, which part you are unable to understand, just let me know, and I will explain you right now which part you are unable to understand. Yes, guys, any line number, or you want me to explain the whole? Okay, let me explain you the whole thing then. All right, so basically the functionality here, the first line, this line, we define a function get URL which accepts a single URL argument, that is the location. The location is likely to be the city name you have entered in the application. Okay, then we have the API URL new weather API URL. So basically here we are creating a new URL object. Okay, we are creating a new URL object using the weather API URL constant, okay, which we have created above, which holds the URL of the API which you are going to use to make the request. Okay, then the API URL dot search params append part. Basically, this code has the line uses the search parameter property of the API URL object. So in the API URL object, we are using a search parameter property which represents the query string portion of the URL, which is basically often contains a key value pair of different parameters. Okay, so basically this represents the query portion of the URL. Okay, and we call the append method on this search parameter to add a new key value pair. Okay, to add a new key value pair, to that we are adding a append method. All right, which is said to be the API key, and this key has the API key information that we need to provide the API key. Why we need to provide the API key? For the authentication purpose. And in the second append value is set to the API key in caps. So this is a constant that should hold all the actual API key obtained from the weather API provider. Okay, which will be replaced from the above. Similar for the location. The location indicates we are providing the city name, which location, and the value is set to the argument that is passed to the function. Okay. Now then we have a return API URL dot href. So after building the complete URL with the API key and the location information, so what I'll do is do console.log everything, the console.log API URL in all the parts, and see how these lines are affecting the code. We have least time, but every time play around the code. Okay, see what value, which implementation of the search params append, what it is changing. how it is changing. And the next line again, put the console.log and see how you, for every line of code, how it is getting affected, how, just try to be experimenting with all the code. Okay, so href property contains the entire url including the base url, query string, the api key, and the location. All the fragment identifiers, it combines everything and hold in the api url, everything, it integrates everything and hold it together. So basically this is what we are doing. Okay, so clear everyone? Yes, key value pair. Search param represents a query string portion of a URL, okay, which contains a key value pair that is used in the parameters. We have two things. Okay, let's move to the next round of code. Okay, that is fetching the weather data. So this is important part, how to fetch the weather data. So async, this is an asynchronous function. Okay, get weather data. Okay, this we sorry, get weather data, and here we have the url. Okay, now let's define let. Those who are unable to understand, guys, so these are new terms you might face difficulty in understand. Here we are also, I am implementing a new thing, that is a try catch block. Let's keep it if now. If response dot okay const json equals to await response dot json return json. So this code is done. Then error, we want to hide it, dot hidden equals to false. Then we will return null. Okay, this part is done. Okay, let's continue with this block of code. Okay, so here I have implemented one new thing, that is a try catch block, and async function rest here, but along with that we have implemented a new thing, that is this try catch block right here. All right, so basically the function purpose of this particular function, this is a asynchronous info function. What it does, it retrieves the weather data from the weather api. Based on the url you have provided right here, it will retrieve the weather data from the weather api, and it handles all the error. Okay, so basically the async function weather data url declares, here we are declaring the asynchronous function that is named as get weather data, that accepts a single argument, that is the url. Okay, and this argument should be the complete url that is representing the endpoint from which you are fetching the weather data. The endpoint url is already mentioned at the top, that is that url we are using. Okay, then we have late response. Okay, the late response part, what it is doing is, it is declaring a variable named response. We are not doing any kind of initialization. This variable holds the response object that is returned by the fetch, at a later stage. This is the main purpose is to hold the response object. Okay. Then after that, what we have is a try catch block, try block. So this block defines a try catch statement. So basically, the try catch is to handle is this is used for the error handling, is to handle different kind of potential error from different API requests. So that's why we are using this try catch block. Okay. So it will try a certain thing inside the try block. If any kind of error is there, the catch will catch the catch block will catch the error, and any kind of handling you want to do with the if this error happens, you do certain tasks that we need to write in the catch block. Okay. And then we have the response equal to JSON part. You can see response equal to await fetch sorry so try block, we have response equal to await fetch URL. Inside the try block, what happens is in this particular block, the fetch function, okay, fetch is a function which is called with the URL parameter argument. Fetch here initializes the, so this fetch works as the initialization process of the HTTP request to the weather API. So here the fetch thing initiates the asynchronous HTTP request. A request is sent with the implementation of the fetch function. A request is sent to the weather API. Okay, and then the await keyword is used before the fetch URL. Okay, because fetching the data from the API can take few time. Okay, so await, what it does, it pause the execution of the function at this particular point. So by using await, it pause the execution of the function at that particular point until the fetch is complete. So that function is paused for that particular time, and when the fetch is completed, it returns the response object. So this allows us to the code to continue running the other task that is there, while I am not do the other tasks and do not wait for me to complete. Okay, then we have the catch block. So this is a like here we haven't implemented, I have not done error handling right now, but you can do the error handling. Catch block is designed to handle any kind of error that might occur through the e parameter that is there in the catch blocks represents the error object. Okay, during the, and here we have the response. Okay, in the if, so after fetching the response, okay, you send a request, then you get the response. So the response is stored. So after fetching the response, if the if statement check if the response is successful or not, the response that we have received is successful or not. So the response.ok property indicates that the weather request resulted successfully with a status code. You can stay something around the range of 200. Okay, if it is in the range of 200, you can just control console.log response. Okay, and see everything information associated with it. So it checks that request you have sent has completed successfully or not. Okay, so this is what we are doing right here. The const, again, the const JSON response await response JSON. So this, if the response is successful, okay, if the response that you have sent is successful, response.ok will be true. The value of response.ok will be true. So and the processed and we process to the response body that we have, we get in the JSON format. Okay, the response.json method is another asynchronous operation that might take some time. So await is used to pause the execution and do the stuff, do the JSON parsing for us. Okay, it parses the JSON data which is stored in the JSON constant. So basically that is to work. So on successful API request, it returns a JSON data which has all the information of the weather using the return statement. So the error is here, error dot hidden false. Okay, they'll assumes that they're the element on the web page with the ID or the class of error. So by setting error dot hidden to false, This might basically intended to display any kind of error indications and all. So that is, and return dot null. Okay, if if the API request is failed, okay, if the like we that is for the response null. Okay, so we'll take more 5-10 minutes. We'll try to copy like I will explain you, I will tell you what I'll at the end I will share all the images in that particular GitHub repository. Okay, so again, two things we need to complete: function. Okay, there is one more thing, that is this, we need to toggle loading part. Function toggle loading dot toggle attribute. Let's set it to hidden. Okay, and then one more thing, let's write it. Function, that is the initialized state, right, which you are asking for. Let's define it. Function dot initialize state, and here toggle loading. So these two things are easy. You error dot hidden, set it to true, whether element dot hidden. So when there is no city is entered, we do not want to display anything on the screen. So this is how we are setting the initialized state. So when I start the application, what you exactly are seeing right here is, when we started the application, before entering the any kind of cities that we want to input, what was happening is like nothing is shown, like no UI is shown, only the input box is shared on the screen. So for that purpose only, we are writing basically the toggle function. The main is to control the visibility. Here we are using the toggle loading function is to control the visibility of the element in your application. When no city is entered, nothing is done, we do not want to show anything. So this loading dot toggle attribute hidden, this line reference to an element named loading, so which is there in this HTML. Where is it? Yes, this refers to the element named loading right here. Okay, which is exist in the, and the toggle attribute method is used on this particular element. Okay, so the hidden, the string arguments, the hidden string argument, what represents this the attribute to toggle, hidden attribute inside the element page. So toggling to make it hide and hide on the stuff, we are using this. The toggle attribute, you can say this act as a switch. Okay, so if hidden attribute is present there, it will remove on, and if not present, it will add the hidden attribute. Okay, so basically that is this toggling thing happens. If the hidden attribute is there, it will remove; if not there, it will add. Okay, so that is this main attribute of the main working of that. And initialize function, we have this function is we do not have any argument, it has toggle loading. This line calls the previously defined toggle loading, which I've defined previously. The function is to show the this loading indicators and all the stuff. Error dot hidden true, this assumes that the element with an ID or a class has a or a class of error is there in this particular HTML document, and setting error dot hidden to true hides the potential error messages from the users initially. Initially, we do not want to show any default error messages or something like that. To hide that from the users, we are setting it to that way. And whether element dot hidden equals to true, similarly from the previous line, The element named as weather element represents the area where the weather information is there. Okay, it's set to true, there to like to show it. So all the weather informations and all the stuffs. Then the can I take like more 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes? 5 minutes, is it possible? Yes. So we have one more thing, that is the like that function is responsible for the processing the weather data. Okay, so that is there. Okay, are you able to understand this thing? Go. So you might find a little bit challenging, but what I'll suggest you guys is after the class, go through each and everything. Okay, is the app you're finding it interesting? Yes. Do you find it helpful? Any code which you, if you are facing difficulty in understanding, I am there to help you, like going line by line explanation. But so here we are doing the processing of the weather data, the data which we have faced. That data processing we are doing it right here. Const weather code equals to value dot, okay, value dot weather code. Okay, then we need to have the weather behavior and icon. Get weather icon, weather code, const weather behavior equals to get weather, what, just write get behave with the weather code. And just for the confirmation, you can just console.log everything. So it represents, so this are the values which we fetch from the what you can say is, okay. So what I'll do is I will share the rest of the code. Okay, I will share the rest of the code, go through it. Yeah, exactly. So there is no issue with that. You might have a updated version like v5 or something like this. All right, so rest of the code I'm sharing. So what you need to do is, now you need to fetch all the information from the URL. Okay, get, you need to write code for the weather behavior and weather part I'm just sharing right now in 2 minutes. Just have a look on it. Last two get weather behaviors. First important part is to work on this part. Okay, so this part I'm leaving for you. Okay, so just give me a moment. All right, so yes, so what is the work of this two is I'm explaining. So here we have two functions right here. The main function purpose of get behavior is to take the numeric code of the weather as input, and it responds the like textual description. It takes the code as input and returns the uh, textual description of the weather behavior. Okay, like sunny, rainy, cloudy, all of these are associated with a weather code. From this weather code, it will take the code and it will like return the description, what description it is associated with it. So that is for that. And get weather icon is like all the icon for that weather code is also different. So this is basically is to takes the numeric weather code that is generated as input and returns a corresponding weather icon URL. So for every weather icon there is a icon URL that it returns. So that is for the main purpose. And complete the initial part, that is this. I'm sharing the code right now. Go through this function like process weather data. Okay, so that you can complete it right here. Okay, so here this, make a screenshot of it, so this, so that you can complete this project fully. Okay, I'm just sharing the screen and we'll end the session right here. Okay, just give me a moment, I'm just sharing this screen right now, 1 minute, and then we'll end the code. What you can do is after the class you can just go back and see the pre caps. So here you can see nothing, no data is there. Enter the city, click on search, and it will show you the weather information associated with it. Okay, so all of this are associated with a weather code which will display this icon. So that is this work. So complete this and share it. So that's it for today. And thank you everyone for patiently being there till the end. Okay, so that's it for your, that's the end of, hope you have done a good two projects, weather app and the to do app. And stay connected, we'll see you maybe in the upcoming session further. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for everyone for joining, and share your certificate in LinkedIn or anything, and you can connect with it. JS code is already there in the chat. The JS code, the GitHub link is already there in the chat. You can get access to it from the chat. All right, so thank you everyone for joining in. Again, I'm sharing, and that's it for today. Good night everyone.